This episode is brought to you by Kia's first 3-row all-electric SUV, the Kia EV9, with available all-wheel drive and seating for up to 7 adults, with a 0 to 60 speed that thrills you 1 minute and available reclining lounge seats that unwind you the next. Visit kia.com/EV9 to learn more. Ask your Kia dealer for availability. No system, no matter how advanced, can compensate for all driver error and or driving conditions. Always drive safely.
Listen to the 48 Hours podcast for shocking murder cases and compelling real-life dramas from one of television's most watched true crime shows. Go behind the scenes of each episode with award-winning CBS News correspondents and producers in Postmortem, a weekly deep dive. Listen to 48 Hours wherever you get your podcasts.
Amin, you son of a bitch.
That's a good one, ain't it?
That's not my feelings.
No.
I'm just mostly offended at the whole argument of Danny McBride is funny all the time except in Hot Rod.
He was funnier than he was in Hot Rod. It just
Debatably.
It was the same kind of like, I don't think they knew what they had on their hands.
This was always going to be backlash, this episode.
Absolutely.
This was always going to, like, there was no, we could have picked anything and there was going to be backlash in this one.
The grooves of the personal resentment that have been built up over 13 episodes of Cinephobe.
I mean, this is we gotta be honest, this is a fractured group. It really is.
Yes.
It's a fractured group. I don't know that we recover from it. I think we can trudge on, right? Like, I think we can keep it going, but I don't think we can ever recover.
What was the point of fracture? What was the movie that did it?
It was definitely Jupiter Ascending when you just have a bias against any movie I pick now. I think that was it.
I mean, you do have a knack for picking like pretty awful movies.
Thank you.
I mean, to be fair, that's the point of the show.
No, absolutely. And I think I've adjusted. Like, we'll see what I get to for my next choice, but I feel like I'm going to adjust the movies that I pick, and I will definitely not pick a movie that I care about ever again.
You can't put your heart in it, man. Like,
can't do that.
I don't like. See, here's the thing. Like, so this episode is going to be interesting to me because this is a movie. While I won't say I care about it in the way that you cared about Hot Rod,
I think any movie's been cared about like he cares about Hot Rod.
I would say that this movie legitimately, to me, from the moment I saw it to every time I watch it, it's always funny. It's always enjoyable. I am legitimately surprised because this is what I do now. I'll watch movies that I've always loved, and then now I'm like, well, I wonder what the Rotten Tomato score is. And I was shocked to see it this low because I just thought this was a movie that, while not a huge blockbuster hit, I thought it was hilarious. Unless you are offended by some of the stuff in there, I can't see how you couldn't like this movie.
I got to be honest, I'd never seen the whole thing before. I'd seen bits and pieces, but never the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
I had seen it before, and I didn't remember a whole lot. But then when I watched it again, there were some things that hit me with some deja vu.
You know what the problem with Hollywood is? They make shit. Unbelievable, unremarkable shit.
I was legitimately offended.
You were offended?
I was offended.
I didn't know you could get offended.
I was offended.
This did it.
I was absolutely offended.
They're fucking making shit up, I mean.
Inconsequential detail after inconsequential detail after inconsequential detail.
Bees don't lie.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm holding a mic in my hands, and now I'm talking all alone.
Welcome to Cinephobe, the podcast where we break down the movies you're afraid to admit you love. Unless you're Anthony Mayes, then you're always happy to admit you love them, and then we just tear them down. I'm Zach Harper, joined by Amin and Mayes. Anthony Mayes producing the show. The podcast about movies we think don't get enough respect. And Amin has picked This week's episode, which is the 2007 comedy, The Heartbreak Kid. It's a remake of the 1972 movie of the same name, starring Charles Grodin and Sybil Shepherd. This one stars Ben Stiller, who at the time was coming off of Night at the Museum. He was about to be in Tropic Thunder. He's flanked by, I never know how to say her name, Malin Ackerman. Malin Ackerman. Pretty close.
You know what you sound like? Remember the Family Guy's like, I don't know quite how to say this. Kim Basinger? Basinger?
Basinger? Yeah. All right, Malin Ackerman.
Yep.
That's not how that's spelled, but okay, never mind.
She's Swedish.
She is Swedish.
She?
Yes.
Yeah.
Seems American.
Just because she doesn't have an accent? Oh, she don't talk like this?
Yeah, well, I don't know that was a racist accent by any way.
I do my Swedish chef for anyone. Birdie, I don't talk like this.
This is one of her first big movies after Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. Also, Michelle Moynihan, who's coming off of Mission Impossible 3 and Gone Baby Gone.
No, she was coming off of Tom Brady.
Oh.
No, it's Bridget Moynihan.
All the Moynahans.
Pretty close, though. Halfway there.
I was looking at her. I was like, wow, man, cute, man.
Bridget Moynihan is in iRobot, right?
Oh.
Is that what she's known for?
I like Michelle.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. You also see performances from Jerry Stiller, Rob Corddry, Carlos Mencia, Danny McBride.
Yes.
Maybe even a cameo from Eva Longoria.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, all the hits. And don't forget Flo, the progressive lady.
Flo from Progressive.
And the old dude from Walking Dead.
Right.
Is that the dude that looks like Steve Ashburner?
That's Boo.
Yeah. Boo.
Yeah.
This is written by Scott Armstrong, who has writing credits on Road Trip, Old School, Starsky and Hutch, Semi-Pro.
Nice.
Leslie Dixon also has writing credits. Has writing credits on Overboard, the original, Look Who's Talking Now, Mrs. Doubtfire, and the Tony Medley favorite, Freaky Friday.
A little older, okay.
This movie was directed by the Farrelly brothers.
There you go. They also have writing credits on this.
Yes, they do. And they were coming off of Fever Pitch and a few years away from a Amin Al Hassan favorite, Hall Pass.
Man, I forgot they made Fever Pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, they made Fever Pitch starring like the three things I don't really enjoy: Jimmy Fallon, the Red Sox, and what's her name?
Drew Barrymore.
Yeah,
it's a pretty big miss on that one.
Future Cinephobe.
God, no, please no. That will definitely end us. The synopsis for Heartbreak Kid: a newlywed man who believes he's just gotten hitched to the perfect woman encounters another lady on his honeymoon with the tagline, "Love stings."
That is not the synopsis at all.
At all, right? That's from IMDb.
All.
I don't agree with that.
Misleading, completely misleading.
Whereas with Swordfish, they gave too much information away.
This like a couple of quick, treetop notes that I put here. There's two things about this movie that you have to know. One is that Ben Stiller plays the straight. I mean, like this if you watch most Ben Stiller movies. He plays a straight man better than anybody else. He plays.
Yeah, he's really good at it.
He's really good at playing like what a rational kind of normal human being would behave as everyone else around him is insane in some way or
I
another.
would put one person up against him who, ironically, or I guess coincidentally, was originally going to be cast for this role.
Is it Jason Bateman?
Jason Bateman.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah.
We're all in agreement that Jason Bateman is an amazing straight man.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
I would say Jason Bateman, or it was Jason Bateman and Amy Poehler. Those were the original two castings. I would assume Amy Poehler was the Malin Ackerman or
Amy Poehler couldn't pull it off.
I don't think she could. No.
I think Jason Bateman could absolutely pull it off, and I stand corrected. Jason Bateman is the best straight man because Stiller still has a little when he gets animated or upset, it's still a little cartoonish.
Yep.
Which I laugh and it's funny, but when Bateman does it, it's still kind of within, and that makes it even funnier, I think. So yeah, okay. So no, I stand corrected, but yeah, he's up there. So that's the one note. The other note is this movie is based on two things. One, his ability to lie. It's not overt. They don't overtly point it out.
Right.
But if you're watching this movie, if you haven't watched it yet, watch the movie and just keep an eye out on how many lies he can tell. And you'll know they're lies immediately from the context of the situation. And the other thing is that's funny is this movie is all about the red flags.
Yeah.
Because as we'll get into here in a second, you'll see it starts and she seems like a terrific catch, a wonderful young lady.
Yeah.
And little by little, there's just these warning signs that make you and Ben Stiller go, And when you try to explain it to someone, it doesn't sound like a warning sign.
It doesn't make any sense, right? But I would flip this a little bit though. He's the villain in this movie.
Oh yeah, he's terrible.
He's a horrible person.
It's a horrible person. Yes.
This had a $60 million budget. It grossed $36.7 million in the U.S., but $127.7 million worldwide.
There you go, worldwide.
Big worldwide.
Carlos Mencia effect.
That's what it was. Probably was huge in Mexico. So let's jump into this movie.
Damn, you racist. He from Honduras.
The movie's set in Mexico. All right, let's jump into this movie. Before the spoilers come in, Heartbreak Kid is available on Stars, or you can rent it. Rotten Tomatoes score for the Heartbreak Kid, 29% from critics on 156 reviews.
Shocking.
Here's the thing that surprised me, though, Amin. Audience, 37% on
shocking
on over 315,000 ratings, which means usually with a comedy, critics will hate it or love it, and then it's the opposite for the audience, I feel like.
Right.
But this one, they're pretty in line.
I don't know why.
So here's the you want the good reviews or the bad reviews?
Give me the good reviews. Let me hear what the people.
We got three of them. Randy Cordova from the Arizona Republic. Consistently full of laugh out loud moments. The sight gags are outrageous. The story is genuinely involving, and the whole movie has a bit of sweetness to it.
No.
I disagree.
Randy.
Mark Savlov of Austin Chronicle. This is a fairly film for adults, if not the entire family, and it's a charmer, honest both to the nature of the loves we choose and haste and the fear that makes us so hasty so often. That is not a family movie.
I agree, except for the family movie part. I don't want my kids seeing a movie where a woman is yelling "cock me." Very, very vigorous.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Last one. Desson Thompson of the Washington Post. For the Farrelly brothers, topping the slapstick and gross out comedy of their lowbrow hits such as Dumb and Dumber and There's Something About Mary was never going to be easy, but in the Heartbreak Kid, they have outdone themselves. I don't know about that.
I mean, it is one of my favorite Farrelly brother movies. It's not better than Dumb and Dumber. Let's just get that clear.
Yeah.
But
it's not better than Something About Mary.
I like it better than Something About Mary.
Whoa.
I like Something About Mary, but there's a reason why. Because Something About Mary, when it came out, my cousin thought it was the funniest movie ever, and all he kept doing, you gotta say,
too high.
Oh, the expectations were way too high. It was like, so I've enjoyed it. I like it, but it's never had the impact on me that it had people who went and saw it fresh. So that's probably why.
Here are the bad reviews. Felix Vasquez Jr. of Cinema Crazed. A miserable, pathetic, mean-spirited effort on the Farrelly brothers.
Mean-spirited?
John Puccio. John Puccio of Movie Metropolis. Largely gross, mean-spirited, frustrating, and ugly. Richard Corliss of Time Magazine. If the Heartbreak Kid doesn't go totally wrong, its big problem is that doesn't really go anywhere. It just sort of lies there, like dumb Lila on the beach waiting to turn gold.
I mean, that sounds way more mean-spirited than any other movie.
David Fear of Time Out. The original premise has been stripped of anything to do with upward mobility except for one shot involving a Prince Albert. The Farrelly's signature shock humor is largely absent. Let me see. Cynthia Fuchs of Pop Matters. The illegal alien gag is a lazy joke contingent on ridiculing otherness in the most insipid ways. Bitches, Mexicans, they all be crazy.
Oh, get out of here.
Goodness.
Get out of here. So it seems like there's a couple. Now I'm detecting there's a couple of factions here. Faction one is the movie's mean, in which case go watch Babar or something. I don't know.
Babar?
It's like no one's mean in Babar. Have you noticed that? No one's ever any misunderstandings quickly cleared up. Babar is the most toothless vehicle of entertainment there is. The other group is it's not the original, which I didn't even know that it was a remake. So
I didn't either until I was looking it up. All right, two more. Jonathan Rosenbaum of Chicago Reader. If I were in movie hell, I'd rather see Good Luck Chuck again than return to this atrocity.
Shut up. No,
that
come on.
Stop.
Offensive. Get out of here.
And
the guy saying Dane Cook. Was Dane Cook Good Luck Charms?
Yeah.
Get out. Get the fuck out of here.
The John Thomason of Orlando Weekly, the absolute dregs of American comedy.
Oh, okay. Well, go watch fucking The English Patient one more time and jerk off to that.
So I read the reviews before I watched the movie. It's usually my process for this. So I'm expecting like, all right, this is going to be really pushing the limits. And maybe I shouldn't read the reviews before, but
Didn't you have a whole speech on Twitter the other day about how you never read reviews for movies you're going to watch?
No. I don't understand reading reviews of like movies I want to see, but like this has been out since 2007. If I wanted to see the whole movie, I would have seen the whole movie. Like John Wick, I would never want to see a review of a John Wick movie coming out because I want to go in fresh. But like there are people who like go in there, no spoilers and all this stuff before, and I don't ever want that.
You've read the reviews every time? For Cinephobe?
I think so. At least like the last like 6 or 7.
That's interesting. I mean, I would say don't, but since you've already started on this path, you should probably continue with this process.
It hasn't hurt the process so far. But so that was my thought process going into this. Like, okay, they're really going to be gross and push the limit. And I don't know that I agree with a lot of these reviews.
You know, like on a scale of like 1 to 10 of Farrelly Brother disgusting movies, it wasn't that much. It was only a couple of scenes, like a couple of scenes.
It's a couple things, yeah. It's not. So then I'm
Prince
just judging.
Albert,
Then I'm just judging. Like, is it funny? Right? Yeah. Like that's really like what it should be about. So let's jump into it. We're in San Francisco. Ben and Jerry Stiller walking down the street. They're father and son, just like in real life. Jerry wants to know how things are going, and by that he means has Ben Stiller been crushing any pussy lately, as he puts it.
Let me rephrase the question. You've been crushing any pussy?
Ben says he's just kind of dating. Jerry thinks he's in purgatory, says they should tag team some broads at this upcoming wedding that Ben is going to. And the wedding...
Ben's going to the wedding. Jerry tells him, why are you going to the wedding? Because the wedding is the wedding of Ben Stiller's ex-girlfriend, ex-fiance, excuse me, who's marrying someone else now. And Jerry says, instead of going to that, come with me to Vegas and let's tag team a couple of broads there.
Right. Yeah. So now we're at the wedding. Rob Corddry is his friend. He's giving life advice, fawning over the ex of Ben Stiller. They're going over the reasons why they didn't stay together and get married. And he's kind of just picking this apart. Like, what are you doing? Like, you're being too nitpicky. We meet Rob's wife. And my note is, I love his fake laugh. I love his reactions. They always kill me. Like, Rob Corddry will always get me.
Oh, yeah. Agreed.
He's up there. He's up there in the Hall of Fame of, like, no matter what he says, it always sounds funny. One of the life advices he gives him is, happy wife, happy life. To which Ben says, that's a good one. It rhymes. And also, when he's trying to give him advice about why his relationship didn't work out with Jody, who is getting married, he's like, because you just are nitpicky, but he would do it in the whiny voice that we all adopt when we're saying that our friends whine too much. Oh, she doesn't like my fantasy football. Oh, da da da. To which Bento says, I do not sound like an Italian mouse. Oh, she doesn't like Caddyshack. And by the way, she doesn't like Caddyshack because the gopher didn't look real.
Right, the gopher wasn't realistic. So, Ben Stiller we find out he's sitting at the single/kids table. It's just a bunch of kids there because he's the only single person. He goes, he finds this guy walks up. What?
Yeah. He's talking about like how he looks at the table full of kids, and surely there's something must be wrong. So he's searching for the wedding coordinator.
Yeah, he comes across this gay guy. The gay guy admonishes him.
Flamboyantly dressed.
Yeah, flamboyantly dressed. He admonished, you looking for the wedding coordinator? So you just find the first gay guy you see. Then another flamboyant gay guy walks up saying, I heard wedding coordinator. And the look Ben Stiller gives the first guy is just priceless. Like, it's such a
you have to paint the picture. The other guy is way more flamboyant.
Way more.
And he's got that chunky Bluetooth and walkie-talkie combo.
Yeah. And he said, did I hear someone say wedding coordinator?
And I just like the look he gives is hilarious. Like, just like this. Well, yeah. And the dude kind of right.
And the dude just like he doesn't protest it. He just
all right, he walks away. The speeches are going on at the wedding. Hank Schrader from Breaking Bad gives a speech.
Father of the bride.
Yeah, his father of the bride says the groom is the first guy the bride ever went out with who wasn't a total asshole, which then this might be my favorite part of the movie.
Yeah.
And there are other good parts. But Rob Corddry gets up from another table.
His table's in the front, by the way.
Yeah,
His
front, in
table's
the front. Turns around, puts his hands on his head like, I can't believe this, and just starts laughing at Ben Stiller. And it is such a great physical gag that someone would do this to someone else at a wedding. Like, it's like, that is perfect comedy.
Oh my God.
That moment is perfect.
His face is very snap.
Yeah. It's the classic Rob Corddry reaction. Like, it's just like, man, I love this dude. I love him in Semi-Pro. I love him in that movie, What Happens in Vegas. Like, he makes that movie almost tolerable.
He's fantastic.
Him and Lake Bell. Lake Bell's also fantastic in it.
I love Lake Bell.
Yeah, she's great.
Poor Rob Corddry wasting away on Ballers.
Oh my God. So now we get back to the streets. Ben Stiller.
No.
What I missed?
Remember, the theme of this movie is how well he can lie. So he's sitting at the kids' table, and there are these two asshole twins who ask him, "Are you gay?" And he says no. And then, like, they made a bet that he's either gay or bi, apparently. So, but anyway, the little girl sitting next to him keeps asking him, "Where's your wife?" He's like, "I don't have a wife." "Are you divorced?" "No, I'm not divorced." "Where's your girlfriend?" "I don't have a girlfriend. I'm kind of in between things." And so then she says, "Are you a widower?" And just to shut up the little girl, he says, Yes, I'm a widower." And so the twins decide to play a game called 5 and 5. And, to prove that he's not lying. He's like, "What's that?" He's like, "We ask you 5 questions in 5 seconds. You got to answer rapid fire. And if you have to stop to think, that means you're lying." And so they go, "How'd your wife die?" "She's murdered." Like, and he's answering these instantly. Yeah. Instantly, right? "How'd your wife die?" "She was murdered." "How?" "Ice pick." "They got the guy?" "Yeah." "What's his name?" "Ronald." "Brad Pitt or Russell Crowe?" "Brad Pitt." So, I knew you were gay. He says, "No, I thought." No, they said, "Who's hotter, Brad Pitt or Russell Crowe?"
Yeah. And he goes, I thought you meant the careers.
I thought you meant who's hotter career-wise.
So now we're back on the streets. He's walking by a window, thinks he's flirting with a girl. Her boyfriend or husband or someone walks down. So he starts moving on, and then all of a sudden we see what's her name? Lila is her name in the movie. I'm just gonna call her Lila because I hate her name. Lila is doing laundry. This guy comes by on a bicycle. He snatches her purse. He starts riding away towards Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller stops him, tries to get the purse back a little bit. He's kind of arguing with him. The guy sprays him in the face with what we think is mace, but turns out to be perfume. Which is when she runs up to him to, like, basically thank him or whatever. He's like, "Oh, he maced me." And she goes, "No, it's perfume," and shows him the bottle of perfume. And then he kind of stops freaking out that he's been maced and, like, smells the air. That's good physical comedy. That's a funny, subtle little bit. They now have their, what's it called in the rom-com? A meet cute. That's their meet cute. They kind of exchange names, and she leaves behind a pair of David Bowie underwear.
Yeah, I wrote down Cinderella, but with David Bowie panties.
Yeah, that's a good call. And so now it's him, Jerry, and Rob in the apartment. And he says, Jerry's like basically just examining these, right? And he says, "I've always said you can tell a lot about a woman by her panties." And Ben asks, "When have you ever said that?" He says, "I've said it a lot. It's like a mantra." They're saying he wimped out. We find out that Rob's ringtone for his wife had the Wicked Witch of the West music, which is a nice little touch.
He's so scared of his wife. It's amazing.
Yeah,
by the way,
terrified.
Also, his wife was in True Blood. She was one of the...
Isn't she in Hall Pass?
She's got a very familiar face, yeah.
Yeah, she does. She kind of looks like, very... kind of scary, actually.
Yeah, a little bit.
Rob Corddry says, "That's why I grew out the bangs." And he points to the, like, little patch of hair on the front of his head. I
did not like the hair gag. I gotta be honest, because it comes back later.
They go back to it in an extreme way.
I didn't like it. I didn't think that was funny. So now we find Ben's got a sporting goods store. He's there giving this kid advice in a batting cage in the store. Jerry walks up and he's arguing with him. He's like, Ben's saying basically it's like very sabermetrics, right? Like, right? He's like, "A walk is as good as a hit," and the kid's like, "What, really?" And Jerry goes, "No, just swing at the next pitch, no matter what." And his kid, they're arguing, confusing the kid. He just swings. He rips the ball. Just absolutely rips it in the batting cage. And so now Lila is at the store picking out fleeces. Jerry has the underwear. What happens? Ben wrestles it away from her?
They're wrestling. She walks up, and then Jerry just completely exposes him and tells her that he has the panties.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Lila. She's like, how do you know my name? He says, okay, cat's out of the bag. My son found your panties on the sidewalk, and we've been talking about you all week. Eddie, give her back her undies, will you? I was dying.
Jerry Stiller's pussy per minute in this movie is out of control.
He's my favorite. Like, oh my God, I love him. They Ben awkwardly asks her out. They go out for pie. We find out she's an environmental researcher. She admits she didn't need the fleece. She just wanted to see him. Then we get a dating montage of them just making out in different locations.
First of like 5 montages in this movie.
Yeah, a lot of montages in this movie.
She eats shit on a bike at one point.
Yeah, that didn't really do anything for me.
And this is when I wrote the note that Malin Akerman is kind of a younger, hotter version of Christine Taylor, Ben Stiller's actual wife.
I strong disagree on the hotter.
I wouldn't say a hotter part, yeah, but she's definitely younger.
We find out that they haven't had sex yet. She wants to wait because she doesn't want to rush into it. Then we find out her research wants her to go to Rotterdam for 2 years. To
Germany?
Holland. And the look on his face, I'm like, all right. It's great. Just great little touches like that in this movie. She's got to go because the other researcher is married and they don't move married people. So now he's contemplating getting married so that she doesn't have to move. So then he starts doing the pros and cons with Jerry. And I think Rob is there too, right?
Yes. Jerry and Rob are there.
Yeah.
And he says, "Oh, you know, like, what are you? What's you know? Obviously, it's quick, but he's like, well, what else are you afraid of?" He says, "She kind of doesn't. She doesn't have a great sense of humor." To which Jerry just completely lambasts him and says, "Humor is a male gene. Haven't you noticed? Whenever there's a funny girl, she's always a little mannish." Ellen DeGeneres, although he calls her Evelyn DeGeneres.
Right. Rosie O'Donnell. Lily
Tomlin. Rob Corddry says, "I like Ellen. She has a great ass. Check it out."
And then Ben says, like, this is a good exchange too. Ben's like,
it's like at the end of the day, I'm choosing between Lila and all the other women in the world.
You've barely nailed any of the other women in the world. You haven't crushed more than 3 pussies since you broke off with Jody.
Dad, what is this obsession with pussy crushing counting? I'm not comfortable with that term.
Sorry. Snatch. Whatever.
So when I wrote the note, this movie is funny. Like it is like it's funny, man.
There's a callback, right? So at Jody's wedding, they see Jody's mom and Rob and Ben are like,
she's got the kind of looks that will last.
Yeah, she's in great shape. Look at that. She got great genes. Jody's going to be just like her mom or whatever. At Ben's wedding to Lila, we meet Lila's mom, who is a decidedly larger woman.
She looks like the mom from Honey Boo Boo.
Yes, exactly. She looks like Honey Boo Boo mom, right?
Nothing like Lila.
So like, hey, thank you, congratulations, thank you for showing up. I was like, oh, you look so beautiful. That's the same dress I wore on my wedding day. And Ben says, same designer? She says, nope, same exact dress.
Rob Corddry's looks during this whole scene, it's just amazing.
And but also Ben Stiller's, it's the smallest. All he does is say, but it's priceless. Anyways, now they're road tripping to Cabo for the honeymoon, which I didn't know you could. I didn't know you could drive to Cabo, by the way.
Oh yeah, you could drive to Cabo. It's just down the peninsula
from San Francisco.
I mean,
it's a long
drive.
trip. It's like probably like 15 hours or something, but it could be done.
Yeah, it could be done.
The road trip scene is.
This is where the red flags start popping up.
But also, like as a movie scene, it is so well done.
It
like
is really
the way they transition from the beginning, where these people are clearly so excited to go on a trip,
so much fun,
and singing along to the radio, singing along to all these songs, to slowly but surely you see Ben Stiller, like when he's drinking out of the fountain drink and he pulls the straw out of it.
Yeah.
It's just very small cues of like, I'm very annoyed right now.
Yeah, the subtle humor in this movie is just so well done.
Oh man.
So like the disagreements are, he wants to go deep sea fishing. She gets seasick easily on boats. He wants to go out and go on an adventure. She wants to be in the hotel and relax, and says it's a dangerous third world country. He increasingly doesn't like the music that she's singing along.
And it's by the way, like it's not like when he's talking to her, it's all very pleasant. Like, oh, we should go deep sea fishing. I want to catch him on. Oh, I get seasick. Oh, okay, that's all right. Like he's not really pushing back, but
yeah.
they're
just floating
definitely
ideas and
the seeds of like they're not on the same page. I won't say disagreements. I just say they're not on the same page.
Yeah.
So at some point when she's singing, she's singing Spice Girls,
right?
And that's when it's like you could tell he's like, hey, why don't we turn off the radio for a bit and sort of vibe out on the wind. He doesn't have anything. He's just like, shut the fuck up.
She gives a suggestion that maybe they could just go find a place and fuck. So they pull off to the road, go get a hotel.
They don't even pull off. He pulls across.
Oh yeah, he pulls across lanes to get to the exit.
Which is a very dude thing. Like the idea that like I'm so annoyed by this woman now. Like, oh, she won't shut the fuck up. And it's just, hey, let's fuck. And it's literally.
Well, it's also the first time, right?
Yeah, it's the first time and everything, right? Yeah,
but just the like he's not giving up on this opportunity for anything. He crosses 4 lanes of traffic, veers over to catch the egg.
Yeah, and so now we get to the sex disagreement. Essentially, she wants all these different, I guess advanced positions, all this stuff, and at one point, it's causing problems for him. She sticks a finger in his ass. He's like, no, I don't like that. She's like, oh, I know what to do when you're being bad now and stuff. And so he suggests missionary. She has no idea what missionary is.
What's that? By the way, she's very like, I won't say aggressive, but she's into it.
She's like vocally aggressive.
Yeah, she's out there like, you like that, and all he can muster is, yeah, I like. How much do you like it? A lot. Jackhammer me.
When she goes jackhammer me, Eddie, that was the first time I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this movie.
Yeah.
What's a jackhammer? He so meekly says, what's a jackhammer?
Jackhammer me.
So now he clearly has regrets. They're in a diner.
Hold on. She goes into the bathroom.
Yep.
And as she goes to the bathroom, we just hear
this didn't do anything for me.
No, but it's not that. Like, obviously, that's just a Farrelly joke where you hear this huge fart sound, and she's like, "That's not what you think it is." And he goes, "I didn't hear what happened." And she's like, "Oh,
God. I just had the biggest queef ever, right?
Biggest queef ever." Yeah. And the look on his face. That's what that scene that part. It's not about so many people I'm sure will laugh at just the she queefed or whatever.
Right.
But the humor is in that the sinking realization on his face, like, oh my God, I've made a terrible mistake.
So now the other red flags coming up is they see an old couple at the diner the next morning. She's like, that's us in 10 years. He's like, I don't think so. And she's like, oh, I'm really bad at math. Couple. Yeah, I mean, they're like 70s, 80s, like
80s, like hunched over, hands trembling as they're trying to feed each other. By the way, the other thing that happens in the scene is she says, can you hold my hand while we eat? And he looks down because he's holding his fork with his left hand and she's holding either way, like she's sitting to his left and he's eating with his left hand. So he looks down and he doesn't say a word, but he just looks at his hand and looks at her. And then you can see like Rob Corddry's advice run through his head. So he reaches over with his right hand to hold her hand while still trying to eat with his left hand. And you could tell he's so uncomfortable about this whole thing, but he doesn't say a word. This is another example of like just real, like to me, I was dying laughing at that whole thing. Just the way he looked at her and how awkward he was.
Yeah, the whole like he really does play awkward so well.
I've got 2 notes from this scene. So did you guys notice her breakfast? She had like 4 different plates going on and a milkshake.
He had like a simple thing, right?
Yeah, he had like a fruit salad or something like that. And then the old lady from the couple that's in the diner, she's also in Pineapple Express in an episode of It's Always Sunny. It's the Dennis System episode where Dennis pretends this woman is his grandmother. And she goes around saying,
my grandmother had an affair with Susan B. Anthony.
I don't give a shit. Look, paying you not to talk, all right?
So shout out to that old lady.
So we get something that'll be called back later where she asks if like she's too hairy down there for him. She mentions she's got a deviated septum after juice comes out of it and that it happens often. He's like, well, we'll just have to keep you away from liquids. Like he's trying to like, be the supporter guy. Right.
And also lets her know, hey, I went to camp with this kid who had a deviated septum and the only thing that happened, he just snored all the time. And she's well, I don't snore, but sometimes the juice comes out of my nose. He says, well, we got to keep you away from liquids. They get back in the car. And she's back to playing the radio and singing. And I don't know if you guys noticed this. They're playing The Devil Goes Down to Georgia, or Devil Went Down to Georgia. And you know the part where the fiddle goes, but whenever the fiddle happens, she pretends to trumpet.
Right.
And you can tell he's annoyed not only by her singing along, but the fact that she doesn't know a fiddle, the sound of a fiddle from a trumpet, which, by the way, reminds me of when I was a kid. I had a cousin. I can't remember what song it was. It was one of them 80s songs that had like an electric guitar solo. And my cousin thought it was a saxophone. And he started like miming a saxophone. I was like, what are you doing, man? That's not even close. Not even the same family of instruments.
Because at first when she does the trumpet, I do remember thinking like, where the fuck is the horns in this? It didn't register with me at all. They get to Cabo. She admits she's been trying too hard to be comfortable with him and trying to be too perfect. We see the twin assholes from the wedding who thought he was gay.
I love when they headbutt instead of high-fiving.
Yeah.
Right. The package that he was supposed to deliver to Uncle Tito for Rob Corddry is pornography. It's pornography called Remember the Typos.
Yes, it's in the locker room.
Danny McBride and Michelle Moynihan walk up, and Uncle Tito pretends that it's not his, that it's Ben Stiller's, and they're just looking at him wild. Lila's getting hammered. Tito says to hide the jewelry in the safe. He got them a honeymoon suite. She hits Ben Stiller in the head with a cork. He finds out her job doesn't pay at all and that she's just a volunteer with her research.
This is when it really starts coming off the rails, and this when they check into the hotel.
Yeah, this is where the real red flags. Like everything else is just kind of a disagreement, but now this is like, oh, I didn't know this stuff, right?
See, no, everything else I would say just not quite on the same page.
Yeah,
but this is the first real disagreement argument. He says, "Got to remember, we're a 2-income household now," and she says, "Oh, you got a second job?"
That's good.
So he's arguing with her that she's not allowed to call it a job; it's a hobby.
You got stung by a jellyfish, and that makes you an environmental researcher? I don't have to defend my job. Job? You got a hobby. Look it up in the dictionary.
Then we find out the guy that stole her purse earlier in the movie is her ex-boyfriend. And he's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" She's like, "I didn't know you. You were a stranger."
And then it turns out that it was his shit was in her purse, so he's actually just getting his stuff back.
Right.
She yells at him like, "I'm sorry. I care about our planet, and our kids will live in a place where there's ocean life is inhabitating." It's like, that's not a word. It's like, she says, "Yes, it is." Like, no, it's not. I said, "Why don't you look it up in your little dictionary? And while you're at it, why don't you look up shit fuck?" "I will look it up, shit fuck." Like the way he responds back, "I will look it up, shit fuck," is again just next level awkward delivery of an angry line.
Yeah, but he's so good at that. Now he officially meets Miranda, played by Michelle Moynihan, by giving her a camera she's dropped. He's trying to explain that it wasn't her porn. She lets him know that Danny McBride is her cousin. He keeps yelling during the scene from this balcony, like, "We're trying to play Parcheesi. Come play Parcheesi.
Parcheesi time."
So now Ben goes back to his room. They're apologizing to each other for the fight. She mentions she's in debt because of the volunteering. That's why she's so stressed about it. He finds out that it's $26,000 because of a cocaine problem, and that's how she got the deviated septum.
Like, I told you this. I told you had a deviated septum.
Yeah. And every time something comes up, she's like, "I told you this," and like clearly they haven't had that conversation.
She says, like, that's how you get a deviated septum, by doing a lot of cocaine. He said, and he stutters. The kid at camp didn't have a blow problem.
Yeah, how do you know?
Because he was 8 and he was my bunkmate. That's why I would have seen him.
He says, "I would have been aware."
I would have been aware.
So she calls him Edmund, didn't know his name was Edward.
It's like, well, no, this is what she said. She says, "I wouldn't change a thing." And he looks away when she says that. He looks like, "I wouldn't change a single thing because it made me who I am today." And do you know who I am today? No. "Who are you?" And he says, "Who are you?" Not in response to what
not like a hype man of like setting her up, right?
Yeah, he's asking like, no, literally, "Who are you?" Because everything I thought about you is now falling apart. And she says, "I'm Mrs. Edmund Holleran," or whatever his name is. And he says, my name's not Edmund, it's Edward. Eddie. And she says, "Oh, then what other deep, dark secrets are you keeping?"
So now they're back to fucking as they make up. She wants him to hit her. He won't do it. She's taunting him. She's yelling like, "Cock me, fuck me like a black guy." Like
she says "cock me," which is such a weird term.
She
says, "Tell me how much you like it." Say, "I still like it a lot." I'm a bad girl. Hit me. I think you've been fine. Cock me. I think I am cocking you. And then she says, fuck me like a black guy. And the way he spazzes, dude, I can't watch that scene without laughing. Because she says,
I was dying,
fuck
man.
me like a bad guy. You could tell on his face, he's like, oh, okay, you want... Look, he does that Ben Stiller, like, I'm really into what I'm doing thing.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
We cut to her snoring in bed afterwards, and he's sitting in a chair just rocking back and forth in the fetal position. So now, let's see, he's like kind of daydreaming on the beach with her, but he's watching Miranda play with her nephews. She squirts him in the face with baby oil. He's like, you got to use suntan lotion. She says, no, baby oil. Like, they're arguing about that. We later cut to the room, and she's just beyond sunburned.
And that's the second reprise of the mariachi band that's following them around, because at the beginning he gives the mariachi band $20 and they're like, oh, $20. And they like definitely know that he's good for more.
Right. They're like, it's like feeding cats. Like they fed him one time and now they won't leave him alone.
Right, exactly. And so now he calls his dad, worried about her being off, and he says, this is like kind of that perfect thing of just them not being on the same page. He goes, so you think your wife is a nutcase because on her honeymoon she's singing a lot, wants to have sex around the clock, and got too much sun?
She tells you to cock her, you cock her.
He's angrily chastises his son.
Next to some enormous floating titties, by the way.
Right, yeah, exactly. Ben goes to the bar. Miranda walks up to him. They pretend to be on their honeymoon, or they get confused for being on their honeymoon, right? Like, he says he's on his honeymoon to some strangers, and then she's like, oh, I guess we're pretending to be married for them.
Yeah, so it's interesting because, like Amin said, this movie does kind of rely on Ben Stiller lying for a good chunk of it, but then it's also super convenient about him never having to really lie to Miranda.
Yeah, he's kind of just keeping information, which is a form of lying, but it's right. Like,
he keeps getting cut off or whatever, and then there's the misunderstanding later. So it's like they made a point to make him avoid lying to Miranda.
Right. He helps her carry drinks over to her family. They're all from Mississippi. He's a big hit with the family, with everyone except for Danny McBride.
Danny McBride is not feeling it.
No, he's not feeling it at all.
What does he say? Are you a film buff?
Yeah, I remember you, Eddie. You're the film buff. Also, my man from Walking Dead, the old dude from Walking Dead, whose name is Boo, and he says, yeah, it's short for Buford. And Ben Stiller says, oh, why don't they call you Bew then? And Flo from Progressive and Buzz, her husband, just start dying laughing. Like, and I put the note, have you ever had people laugh too hard at your very light joke?
Yes.
It's such an uncomfortable thing.
It's very uncomfortable. So they ask about, he's telling about like sports and everything. And he says, I actually lost my virginity on a baseball diamond, and then makes a joke about like these guys holding him down.
I was like, I love sports. I actually lost my virginity on a baseball diamond. And everyone's like, oh, wow. And he says, yeah, a couple of older kids held me down and
Flo asks, like, did you press charges? And then Miranda's like, no, he was making a joke. And she like kind of almost whispers, she's like, about anal rape? So now they've been drinking, they've done shots. Ben and Miranda are getting high on the beach. He says he loves her family, but doesn't like Danny McBride. She asks him about having a girlfriend back home, and before he can kind of answer and confess to being married and everything, Danny McBride interrupts. They're going to go deep sea fishing in the morning. He goes back to his room.
They're walking off, and Danny McBride says, smells like someone's been hitting the devil's lettuce.
Devil's lettuce. What is that smell? That and also when Miranda says, hey, we're going tomorrow. You want to join us? And he said, whoa, can't be inviting anybody. Got to talk to the captain. There's weight capacity issues, which is clearly just like, I don't like him.
Right.
So I don't want him to come along on our trip.
So now he's back in the room. Lila confronts him about where he's been. He's been gone 7 hours.
This is one of the first of many great lying scenes where he doesn't miss a beat when he tells any of these lies, which is the amazing part.
Where have you been?
Hi. Hey. Oh. Honey. I was downstairs.
Downstairs. You left here 7 hours ago, Eddie. You said you were just going to have dinner.
I did. I was right down at the bar. I had the chimichangas and the chalupa sampler on the side.
Chimichangas don't take that long.
No, they were quick. The chalupas were a little slow coming out. But, honey, what happened was I met this great older couple who found out it was our honeymoon, and so they offered to buy me a shot and this other group a shot, and then we all ended up having shots. And
What other group?
this other group, just these rednecks who were down at the bar. But cool rednecks, like Jimmy Carter types.
Eddie, that still doesn't explain why you're coming in at 4 a.m. when the bar closed at 2.
Honey, you said you wanted to sleep, so I wanted to allow you to rest. So I ended up just sitting on the beach watching the waves all night.
You were on the beach all this time.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes, honey.
His face is so earnest. He's such an amazing liar.
He's an incredible liar.
Because there's no delay.
Yeah.
And he will stay.
I mean, he's playing that game with the kids all times in life.
Yeah. Yes, the 5 and 5. That wasn't just like a little thing for the kids to make fun of him. That was a demonstration to us that we should know when it comes to lying. This dude is amazing. He's world class at it.
Yeah. So she finally relents, just says how uncomfortable she is. She has a pill stuck in her nose. He gets it out with tweezers. She takes this cream off her face. She's beet red, beyond. She freaks out, goes in the bathroom. He says he'll go get them food. What happens? He gets Tito to bring her food as he sneaks off with Miranda.
Yeah, he runs into the family at breakfast, and they're arguing about the fishing boat. And I wrote down that the grandfather goes, "I'm not chipping in on no goddamn boat," and then just starts a riot in the family.
Yeah, they missed the boat. They missed the boat because they were all hungover and they overslept. Danny McBride blames him. That's a very important note. That Danny McBride, thanks, Mr. Party Boy, or whatever he calls him. Thanks to you, we missed the boat. We lost out on the deposit, and that's why they say we should all chip in and we'll get another one. And that's what Grandpa just yells in the background.
He's not chipping in, and they're gonna, they all freak out. So they Miranda and Ben Stiller just agree to go off on their own. So we've got a month.
There's a montage of them having a great day.
Yeah, they go through town. There's a donkey show. There's food. There's soccer. There's all kinds of shit. So he comes back, and Lila kind of grills him where he was. And this is, the line just goes crazy where he talks about.
Again, this might be one of my favorite movie scenes of all time. I'm not being facetious. Because the way he lies so quickly and so rapidly with so much detail, it is unbelievable. I'm telling you right now, you don't have to watch this movie. You listen to this scene. Everything he says is an absolute. Everything he says is a lot, and it goes.
There's so much detail.
Hey, baby, Eddie Bear's home, and boy, do I got a story for you.
Well, I hope so, seeing that you've been gone all day.
Honey, guess what happened? I go downstairs to get your breakfast. Who do I run into out of the clear blue?
Who?
Yvonne Chouinard.
Who?
Yvonne Chouinard, Big Cheese of Patagonia.
And,
come on, honey. Patagonia is like my biggest supplier. I carry their entire line. You know that. So, Yvonne and his buddies are going out golfing. What?
No.
They asked me if I want to go. So, what am I going to do? Say no? No, right?
But you didn't bring your clubs.
I demoed a set. Tailor-made. Sweet, too. Added 30 extra yards to my drive.
Who were the buddies?
Just a couple of guys. This guy Lenny from Akron, insurance guy. Kind of a stiff, but good golfer. And the local Patagonia rep.
What was his name?
His name was Sixto.
Sixto?
Yeah, Sixto. Amputee. Lost 4 toes scaling up Everest. Did it without oxygen. One of those guys. By the way, amazingly, he showed me. Retained the outer toes, lost the middle stuff, but kept the balance points, which are all you need. In fact, he says it gives him a better swing because he swings right through the ball. Less resistance. Fascinating guy.
Eddie, since when has golf taken 7 hours?
Yeah, well, we got behind a Korean couple, so. But I'll tell you, it actually worked to my advantage because we got to talk shop, and if things pan out the way I think they might, we could be talking about some really sweet credit terms for the store.
Why didn't you call me? I've been worried sick about you.
Honey, I did. You get a mile outside of this place, it's like trying to get reception on the moon.
What are you doing? Are you going somewhere?
Lila, I just told you I'm taking them out to dinner in 5 minutes.
When did you say that?
Okay, first of all, these people, let me explain something to you. These people, okay, they're prime. This opportunity, do you understand? This is the head of an incredibly important outerwear company. International, okay? They've taken the bait, and now I just gotta gaff them, get them in the boat, and club them to death. Kill time, honey. Kill time. I can't let the air out. Then all the momentum I built up all day just evaporates. By the way, shouldn't take too long, because they started dropping back the shots about 2 hours ago, so very interested in anything anybody has to say. So, it's gonna be good.
All right, well, hang on a sec. Let me put on some makeup.
You're coming?
Of course I'm coming.
Yes! Good! Sweet! I'll just call down and tell him to make room for one more on the skiff.
On the skiff?
Uh-huh. We're going out on this little 12-foot Zodiac inflatable job. Twilight cruise.
No, Eddie, I can't go in a boat.
Oh, crap. That's right. You sure? Because really, honey, we're only going a couple miles out past the breakwater, right to where the continental shelf drops off. It's supposed to be amazing. The guy said it's where they filmed that movie, The Perfect Storm.
Honey, I'm sorry. I feel really bad, but there's no way I'd last out there.
You know what? Screw it. Screw it! What am I doing? I'm on my honeymoon. Thank you for getting my head straight. I'm gonna call and cancel right now.
What about the credit terms?
All right, you know what? Fine. You win. We do it your way. I'll go, finish the deal quickly, come back, take you out for a late dinner. That sound good? Huh? All right? Good.
Okay.
Good. Also, there's some important stuff I want to talk to you about.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
The good stuff or bad stuff?
Like, well, at first you might flinch, but then I think in the long run, great stuff.
Among the highlights there, it says he goes golf. She asks who was there. He gives details on the other people who were there, including a man named Sixto.
All while getting ready. Getting ready. Like
brushing his teeth, changing clothes.
Yeah, he's brushing. Yeah, exactly.
That was the part where I was just like, this man is the greatest liar ever. And Zach, as you know, on our radio show on Sirius XM, I've talked about how easy it is to lie, and I consider myself pretty good at lying when I need to. And this guy just blows me out of the water, man.
Oh, he's the best at it. Yeah, and so then we find out that when Tito brought her food earlier, she wasn't like showing herself. She just had the hand reached out through the doorway, that he tried to put her hand on his dick, and she like swatted him away. He confronts Tito about the making a move on his wife and everything, and basically Tito's like, look, with what was going on, I just assumed like you were down or whatever.
Which is pretty fair explanation.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not a bad explanation.
Anything goes with this guy.
So Ben goes to tell Miranda about his wife, but throughout the montage, when they get back from the little day trip in Cabo, the twins in front of the rest of her family are like, oh, that guy's wife was murdered. That's the dude whose wife was murdered, blah, blah, blah. So now the whole family and she think that his wife has been murdered. So when he goes to confront her or to go confess to Miranda about his wife, she's like, I already know. Like, I know everything, thinking it's about the murder. We've got confusion. So he thinks like, oh, well, they know that I'm married. This is great. Like, and they're still, everyone's cool with it. They don't want to even talk about it. All this stuff.
Even Danny McBride.
Even Danny McBride, right? His arch nemesis in this whole thing. So he just goes on thinking, oh wow, they're actually okay with this. This is great. When he goes to then tell Lila that he wants to break up. She has stitched him a pillow from earlier before the wedding, I believe.
By the way, like now while they're having this meal or whatever, and or this post vow renewal or whatever, they're having this conversation. We just hear a snippet of like, oh yeah, and it's this really cool thing in this mountain. And she says, we should go. We should totally do it. How about the day after tomorrow? And said, okay. There's some things I have to move around.
Yeah, right.
He's such a bad liar. He's such an amazing liar. It's like he's a bad liar, not in the lies are so see through. He's a bad liar that like it's just there's no ground level. Like there's no depth.
He's dug himself an unbelievable hole.
He's dug himself in unbelievable hole, and then he keeps every time he goes to like confront someone or like admit something to someone, like it just keeps knocked away by like something comes up, right? So we finally get to the next morning. He's trying to get out of the marriage. She thinks that he wants to go to Rotterdam with her and all this stuff, and so there's a thing.
Rotterdam is where you need to be.
Yeah, Rotterdam is where you need to be. Right, exactly. And she calls her mom.
She starts crying.
Yeah, she starts crying and like calls her mom, and he thinks like, oh my God, she's calling, because I just broke up with her. She's like, he's selling the store. We're moving to Rotterdam. Like, and puts him on the phone. As he puts him on the phone, Danny McBride and the cousin Buzz walk up. Now we have a confrontation with
did you hear the mom on the phone? What she says?
What?
And I hear you're moving to Germany.
All right. Good callback. So now we get the confrontation with the wife confusion.
First of all, the way he beckons to Danny McBride and Buzz as they walk, because she's back talking to her mom on the phone, and he sees them, and he just kind of leans off the table like almost like he's looking for something under the table.
Right.
But like while looking at them, like, come over here. Come over here.
So now, like, it's starting to get out, right? Like, they're putting two and two together that he's on his honeymoon, all this stuff, that there was confusion over the murder and all this shit, right? Danny McBride puts him in a headlock. He shoves a pepper up his nose.
You've got to get yourself right with God, buddy.
Yeah. He
was better than he was in Hot
Rod.
Hot Rod.
Oh, I don't know. I think that joke was better used in The Righteous Gemstones when he really perfected it.
He's pretending he's yelling, or he's lying to Lila that those are the Patagonia guys. The mariachi band comes back over.
Look, Lila, we're not okay. It's over. No! Could you please go away?
What?
We're over! No! Stop!
What's over?
Hey, here you go, 50 Americano, please stop, okay? Could you stop? No, stop! Would you shut up? We're trying to have a lunch here! Would you stop? I'm paying a lot of money to stay at this hotel! I'm on my honeymoon. We just want to have a nice, quiet lunch.
Eddie, it's okay. They're not.
No, it's not okay. We're newlyweds. We just want to have a quiet time together. How can we have any good memories if you guys keep doing it?
Eddie, it's okay. I am.
This is where I put the note. This movie is good, but it's way too long. There can't be a half hour left.
Ben Stiller freaking out at the mariachi band was the other thing that I remember, because it was definitely in the trailer.
Yeah, so I wrote this note. Him mocking the mariachi music was a big part of the trailer. I remember that. Made me not want to watch the movie. Like, I just remember seeing that in the trailer thinking, oh, I'm not going to see it.
Oh, yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Miranda goes. She kind of walks down towards the beach. She's still on this landing. He tries to explain things to her. She falls off into the water. He dives after her, rescues her to the shore. We find out he has a jellyfish stuck in his back. The mariachi band is playing, which I thought was kind of funny, that they're just playing this music while he's like freaking out.
All hell breaks loose.
Yeah, all hell's broken loose. Lila pees on his back. There's this giant pubic hair joke that I think has no payoff at all.
Yeah, so that reminded me a lot of when we see the old lady's titties in Something About Mary.
Yeah, that's a good call.
It's like the exact same thing. It's like a cutaway, and it's like weird prosthetic makeup.
Yeah.
And it's like we see the kitty ring, though. It's finally revealed.
Right, we see that. And so now everything is falling apart. We cut to Ben Stiller's now drunk. Tito at first fools him into thinking everything is okay and that Miranda's looking for him, and then says he's just joking. We find out that Lila burned all of his stuff. He doesn't have his passport. He doesn't have papers. He can't go back for like a month when he's waiting for his papers. It's already been 2 weeks. He's just this, beach bum at this point, right?
Drinking tequila straight out the bottle.
Yeah, he's got a puka shell necklace. He's drinking Jose Cuervo, lying in a hammock. I mean, Zach, having just gone to Cabo.
That's about what it is.
Could you relate if you had gotten your passport stolen? Would that have been you?
Oh, man, I would have lived there. Oh, I would have never come back. It would have been, oh, man, what a time. Cabo, really, can't recommend Cabo enough. So now Tito decides he's going to smuggle Ben back.
By the way, did you go by yourself?
Yeah.
Was it a singles resort or something like that?
It was an adults only resort, but there were a bunch of people there. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I met a bunch of people. It was great.
Yeah. You got lucky over there? Oh. That's when you say. That's when you say like a classy girl never says. And that's when I say, yeah, but I'm asking you.
How many pussies did you crush, Zach?
Yeah, what's your pussy crushing?
I don't like the pussy crushing term.
Counting.
Okay, Tito's going to smuggle Ben back to the U.S. He wants to go to Mississippi, though, not back to San Francisco. He wants to go find Miranda. Montage of him failing to sneak back into the U.S. I wrote, this is so topical today.
I said it's funny because he's white.
It's fun. Yeah, it's funny because he's white.
He's white, and when he gets on the boxcar train.
What the fuck was that? I thought that scene went on longer for some reason from before, but he jumps on, they beat the shit out of him and throw him immediately off.
Yeah,
but like the people he was crossing with, they're like, come on, as he's running, he gets on the boxcar, they all cheer. He's all excited. Then we see on the other side, like in the boxcar, just like real mean hobos who beat the shit out of him.
Right. So now Jerry is driving him. He's just looks beyond, like Ben looks beyond homeless and disheveled and everything. He gets him to Biloxi. He explains that he loves Miranda, not Lila. He gets to the porch. Danny McBride is pissed at him. We find out that Miranda has married her ex that she mentioned earlier in the movie. They say to respect her privacy and decision. He says he will. Cut to the next scene. She's sleeping in bed with her husband. He's right next to the bed. Scares the shit out of her. He tries to explain what's happened and that he wants to be with her. Danny McBride then hits him with a bat.
Jerry Stiller comes in and says, pussy dick again.
Yeah, wakes up the husband. Jerry comes in. He challenges McBride. She says she doesn't feel the same way. Said it was just a connection to Mexico that reaffirmed her feelings for her husband. We find out that Ben lost the store in the divorce and his dad moved to Vegas. I wrote the Rob Corddry hair joke isn't doing it for me. He's got now not the bangs, but like a long string of hair.
And then the baby has matching hair.
Yeah, baby has like matching hair.
How about the part where he says he told his wife
Thursday to Sunday, right?
Yeah, where he lays down the law.
Yeah,
she calls. He says, "I am helping my." He's very like defiantly tells her,
"I am with my friend right now. I will talk to you later." Hangs up. She walks in with the baby. She's like, "Get your fucking ass in the car right now!"
Him so hard. Very Susie Green-esque.
Yeah, and so this is a 6 months later scene. We don't get a 6 months later tag, but Rob Corddry says it's been 6 months and you haven't done shit. And then we get it in another 18 months later. They double months later to us.
Yeah, he's sold everything. He's moved to Cabo.
Yeah, he's working with Tito. They have like a water sports business or something, right? Like tourist business. Miranda shows up. She's with family. They're doing their trip again.
And that's why it's 18 months later, because it's 6 months after the original thing, and then 18 months later, 24 months. So it's 2 years after they originally met.
Doing the vow renewal again. She heard a rumor he opened a business because he sent out an email. Says she split up with her husband. And I wrote the note, these two are very unstable. Just very unstable. She says it's not easy being married when you're in love with someone else. Then says, I'd really like for you to meet him. He's in the car. It's a joke. They're going to go get drinks tonight. They make plans. And then as she walks off, Eva Longoria playing Consuela comes up. It's clearly his girlfriend. He's like,
his wife. That is his wife.
His wife?
He married her.
And she says it's our anniversary today. And he says, but I'm going to go and like knock this out real quick with these suppliers from the Huey, like from Sea-Doo or whatever. And then I'll come back. We'll have a late like anniversary dinner. Yeah. And she says, that sounds great.
Things to talk about.
It's a good thing's a bad thing.
It'll sting at first, but it'll ultimately be good. Go to credits, and then halfway through the credits, we're back to Lila in a room fucking. There's like a sugar cube somewhere. There's a carrot. She's yelling like "cock me" and saying, "Yes, you're doing it." And then we find out that it's the donkey from the show.
You want a donkey?
And I wrote, "Is that the payoff?"
Yeah, that we could have done without that. That was like fair. That was like the Farrelly. So
that's Farrelly Brothers just being Farrelly Brothers, right?
It's funny when you said like, "Oh, these were the writers of this movie." I feel like when the Farrelly Brothers got their writing credit too, it was also like, hey, what if she has like a cock ring on her? Right. what if a donkey that's like fucking her at the end? Like that was their contribution.
It's a very fine line between who's our guy Skip Woods. It's a very fine line between Skip Woods and the Farrelly Brothers.
Skip Woods is off in his own little circle. No one can touch Skip.
Okay. There is no Tony Medley review for this movie. But we have one from Dodgeball, another Ben Stiller movie.
Right.
He gave Dodgeball a 5 out of 10. You may be thinking, well, that's not a very interesting score, which it's not. But there's an excerpt. Dodgeball's a great movie. So but I can see like, all right, maybe you're not a Ben Stiller guy, whatever, right? But he still gives it like kind of the midway. But there's an excerpt from this review that I wanted to read for you. One thing this movie does extremely well is explain the game they're playing. Again, this is Dodgeball. By the time of the ultimate competition, you understand what they're doing and why. I wish that surfing movies would explain that arcane competition sometime. Patches O'Houlihan, played by Rip Torn, gives a quick tutorial explaining the rules and how to play the game. By the time of the competition, you understand the game. There's so many cameos: William Shatner, Chuck Norris, David Hasselhoff, and Lance Armstrong, who was a very funny segment. This takes shots at decorum, some of which are funny. There is one that was deplorable and unacceptable. To put somebody down, Peter yells, "You're adopted, your parents don't even love you." Writer-director Rawson Marshall Thurber should be ashamed of himself for such a shameful line. In addition, there's some crude sexual jokes that would eliminate this as acceptable viewing for children and call into question the intellectual level of people who created them. It does contain a nice satirical comment on inane sportscasters and color commentators that strikes home. This is an over-the-top, silly, clearly played for laughs trifle. Despite the adoption line and the low-class sexual jokes, to my surprise, this was a moderately entertaining hour and a half. He takes shots at surfing for some reason?
Surfing movies.
Surfing movies?
Because apparently he doesn't understand surfing.
So you think he didn't like Blue Crush?
I guess not, because he didn't understand what surfing, how it works.
Question, do we think Tony Medley is adopted?
Why do you say that?
Because he takes a lot of exception to the joke, you're adopted, your parents don't even love you. Or did he give up a child? And it was one of the toughest things he's ever had to do. What do you think? Those are real questions.
Yeah, I'm gonna say I think he probably has an adopted child.
Amin, I think he gave up the kid.
Oh, I love this deep delve into Tony Medley.
I mean, I just feel like we're peeling back layers, right? He fucking hates Democrats. He hates Will Ferrell. He kind of hates Hollywood for as many movies as he reviews. He loves old movies, and he thinks adoption jokes are not funny. He also hates surfing movies because they don't explain how surfing competitions work.
But he loves time warps.
Neither did
his dad, who gave him up for adoption. I'm gonna go surf, but Daddy, how do you surf?
Whoa! What if his dad's a surfer? That's a great call, I mean. Holy shit! Oh my God. All right. Time for the verdict. Is it phobe or is it file for you, Amin?
Oh, you know what this is for me. It's a super file. Like, this is a movie that I was surprised. Look, I cheated because it's supposed to pick bad movies, but like I gamed the system. I said, well, it's got a Rotten Tomato score that's low, but I love this movie. I got to watch a movie that I love one more time. So yeah, I love it. It's like, this is, like I said, that scene where he's lying, that main one where he's talking about really six toe.
Yeah,
that is one of my favorite movie scenes of all time.
And he's talking about when he talks about he used some clubs that were sort of customized, like he didn't have his clubs or whatever. He goes,
no, but how did you golf when you didn't have your clubs? Like, oh, that's some loaners. The TaylorMade. They added about 100,
he says,
20 yards.
He says, I think no, it's very specific. This is how it's a great lie. He goes, I think about 37 yards from my drive.
Oh my God.
Like that's such a funny line to me.
Oh man, you?
It's a big time file. I do think it's too long. I think it needs to be like 20, 25 minutes shorter. Too many montages. You know, some of the jokes are just really unnecessary in my opinion. But for the most part, like, man, I'm laughing throughout this whole fucking movie. Maze?
All right, this is a tough one. So I've seen this movie before. It was entirely forgettable to me the first time I saw it. It falls off a cliff in the second half, and it is too long for sure. I don't think I laughed or was interested at all pretty much after Danny McBride sticks a pepper up his nose.
That's not halfway through though. That's like 2/3.
That's about like a half an hour left in this movie.
Yeah, because Zach said that when he was doing.
Yeah, no, that's a note in my.
Yeah. You just trying to hate on it. See what Maze is doing? Maze.
This is revenge, Amin. This is revenge.
No, I definitely wanted to hate on it. You guys did a good job selling it. I laughed. I'm going to give it a file.
Wow. Hey. Through. There you go. Let us know what you thought in the old Twitters, at Darth Amin, at Talk Hoops, at Corn Puzzle. Let us know what you think in the Discord. Of course, you can suggest movies either with the hashtag Cinephobe or in the Discord in the Cinephobe channel. Thanks for being Patreon subscribers, and tune in next time for all new Cinephobe.
Whose pick is it?
Zach.
Oh, you guys are not ready for what I'm picking.